No.
Did I learn that from you?
One of the things I talked about is if you go into a pharmacy and you have insurance.
Yeah. They inflate it.
Because there's a gag clause. So I didn't know that. And the only reason I know this, so many people go, one of the things that's come out a lot, especially since I've been helping Secretary Kennedy and the MAHA movement and trying to educate people on these nuances of healthcare is, well, that guy's not a doctor. How can he tell me? I'm not a doctor, but I employ doctors. I'm not a pharmacist, but I employ over 100 pharmacists. I'm not a chemist, but I employ chemists. I'm not a PhD, but I employ PhDs. And I have over 25 years of experience in healthcare. And I am telling you, the problem is not with the fish. The problem is with the tank. And when all the fish in the tank are sick and dying, at some point you have to ask yourself, what is in the water? The problem isn't the fish, it's the tank. And we've got to drain the tank. And the only way to drain the tank is to take yourself out of that ecosystem. So all the way back to what is the starting point? So everybody nowadays, candidly, like 90% of Americans get their healthcare through their employer. And what that means is you get your insurance through your employer. And so these insurance companies are driving your healthcare experience. They're deciding what drug you get, when you get it, and how you get it. And so as a retail pharmacy, this is why I had to move to cash pay. Your grandma would come in and I could sell her metformin for $2 for a whole month's supply. Metformin cost me $1 for a whole month's supply. And I'm doing simple math. I think it's really like $2 and $5, but whatever. Let's just say it's about a 50% markup in a cash pay market. As soon as she tells me she has Blue Cross Blue Shield, or even if it's Medicare, Medicaid, those programs are controlled by private payers, by the PBMs. That's all outsourced. So even our governmental payer programs are controlled by the big conglomerates. They have a gag clause that says I'm not legally allowed to tell your grandma that her cash pay price is $2. I swipe the card and it tells me $10. And I have to collect a $10 copay on a $2 drug. I don't get that additional $9. The insurance company takes all that money and I get like 10 cents and they get all the profits. And
what a fucking scam.
Yeah, so you're paying every month for these treatments. And that's why they'll switch you from one antidepressant to the next, from one cholesterol med to the next. And so often people would come in and go, what do you mean my Lipitor is not covered? It's been covered for 5 years. And you're like, well, we're just the pharmacy. Like, you're telling me my doctor changed your prescription? No, the insurance company did. And if you don't know the magic trick, if you haven't seen behind the curtain, the reason the insurance companies are changing the medication has nothing to do with what medication is best for you. It has to do with what medication is profiting them the most money. And even that's a little complicated, but if I can break it down just so it makes sense. Go ahead. It gets tricky, but there's a middleman called the pharmacy benefit manager, and most people don't even know this exists.
Is this what you used to be?
No, I owned pharmacies that build insurances. So CVS would be a competitor.
When you started?
When I broke off from being a device rep and all that, I started a pharmacy.
I was explaining I was asking when you were a rep.
Oh, when I was a drug rep, I called on clinicians and I educated them on medications. Okay. And what I quickly learned in that space, and this is where it got dark, is when I first started, I launched Cialis, which is the Viagra competitor. It's a 36-hour Viagra. Everybody loved you.
Tadalafil, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when you're selling that, it's fun. There's not side effect. Everybody loves it. You're like Elvis walking in there because it was when it first launched. It was the biggest drug. And meanwhile, I'm just walking in and high-fiving doctors while the toe fungus girl's sitting out there waiting for 3 hours because nobody wants to talk to her about toe fungus. Oh my God. And so I was like the hottest thing in town because I launched the new drug.
Cialis.
Yeah. And so I joked on Rogan like dick pills were where the money was at. Everyone loved to talk to you. They wanted it for their buddies. They wanted samples. Yeah. It was fun. And I was a 20-year-old kid. And so that was the fun side of that. And I did that for almost a year and a half. But at one point I got relocated to Houston, Texas Medical Center, where they shifted my focus to mental health drugs. And that was where I first started to see the darkness of being a drug rep. I literally got call sheets that told me who the biggest prescribers were in a geographic region. I knew every drug that doctor prescribed the week before. The big pharmaceutical companies have all of this. And my manager would say, you go find that person and you become their best fucking friend. And you find a way to grow the patient population. We need to sell more antidepressants. This is just how it worked. And as soon as I was in that job, I didn't even make it a year. I started looking to get out. I just couldn't do it. And I'm sitting there. I remember the epiphany clear as day. I was sitting in a training with a psychologist who was educating, or psychiatrist who was educating us on the prescription. And we're going over placebo versus, at the time, it was Prozac. And it was like a 3% difference in efficacy. Placebo was almost as efficacious as the antidepressant.
Wow.
And I remember asking, why is placebo so close? So now, jump forward 30 years later since antidepressants hit the market. Rates of depression are at an all-time high. Rates of suicide are at an all-time high. Deaths of despair at an all-time high. Everything across the board, mental health-wise in America, is the worst it's ever been. When we launched antidepressants 30 years ago, they said we are going to end depression. We are going to stop depression.
Do you know what the current prescription rates are of these antidepressants are?
Oh, a huge amount of Americans are on it.
Have they continued with the trajectory?
They've continued with the trajectory, and it's an ecosystem that's built in. And the dirty secret is, if we were sold on that depression is a serotonin issue. You don't have enough serotonin in the brain, and if we can upregulate your serotonin reuptake inhibitor, we can spike your serotonin levels. Do you know where that comes from? It's the craziest thing ever. There has never been one single study. There has never been one single autopsy. There has never been the ability to quantify serotonin levels in the brain that statistically show that antidepressants are working at a chemical level. So you go, wait, then how did they come up with that?
Right.
Pfizer developed a questionnaire alongside one of their consultants who at the time ran the American Psychiatric Association for America. And they tasked him with a questionnaire about depression. All of these are diagnostic tests that are question-based. There was never, it was a theory that got written into history as a reality. But the reality of the matter is we have no evidence that it is a serotonin-related issue.
That's insane.
And then
that's like taking a questionnaire to figure out what your cholesterol is.
Exactly. Yeah, that's and so furthermore, even to this day, exercise and sleep outperform antidepressants. Somebody, if they just go for a walk, it's going to astronomically outperform antidepressants. Yeah, here's the trends on all. I mean, and it's a growing market, and it's a booming market, and it's a market that has been marketed and perpetuated and beat into the heads of primary care since they were in med school.
Yeah.
And they think, and I'm not saying your doctor thinks they're doing wrong. Your doctor believes in the system that trained them. But who built that system, and who funds that system, and where does their continuing education come from? It's all bought, paid for, and developed by the very companies that have the most to benefit by you being on a prescription drug. And that is why you've seen a boom in prescription drugs. Today, the average American's on 4 or more prescription drugs. The average American is on 4 or more prescription drugs.